The sun was sinking behind the rust-colored mesas when the weary rancher rode back toward his homestead. Dust rose around his boots, the kind of evening haze that turns the world gold and silent. It had been 3 years since he buried his wife beneath the oak tree behind the barn, 3 long years of quiet suppers, broken fences, and the haunting echo of a woman's laughter that once filled every room. His horse, Ember, was his only companion now, a loyal creature who seemed to understand when the loneliness cut too deep. But tonight felt different. There was a strange stillness in the wind, a chill in the air that made his instincts stir. As he dismounted near the corral, something caught his eye, a faint movement beside the trough where Ember drank. The rancher froze. There, huddled in the shadow of his horse, was a woman, fast asleep in the dirt. Her face was half hidden beneath a tangle of dark hair, her clothes torn, boots caked in mud, as if she'd walked miles through the desert. A small satchel lay beside her, and in her hand, she clutched a piece of faded cloth, embroidered with a name he knew all too well. His wife's. His breath hitched. He hadn't seen that name written anywhere since the day he carved it on her gravestone. For a long moment, he didn't move. Then, slowly, he knelt down, brushing the dust from the edge of the cloth. "Ma'am," he said quietly, his voice rough from disuse. The woman stirred, her lips parting as though she were trapped between a dream and waking. And then he heard it, soft as a sigh, trembling with emotion. She whispered his late wife's name. The world seemed to stop. His pulse hammered in his ears. The sound of his horse snorting behind him felt distant, unreal. He reached out, shaking her gently. "Hey," he murmured, "wake up. You're on private land." Her eyes fluttered open, deep hazel flecked with green, the kind of eyes that looked both lost and familiar at the same time. She blinked at him, confusion shadowing her face. Where am I?" she asked weakly. "You're near Red Hollow Ranch," he replied. "That's my horse you're sleeping beside." She sat up slowly, clutching her satchel to her chest. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to trespass. I was just tired." He studied her. Something about her voice tugged at him, a strange echo that scraped at old memories. "You said a name," he said carefully. "Do you know her?" The woman frowned, as though trying to recall a fading dream. I don't know," she said, her voice trembling. "It just came to me. Like someone was calling it through me." The rancher stood, unease crawling through him. He offered her a hand. "You better come inside. There's food, water. You look half-starved." For a moment, she hesitated, then took his hand. Her skin was cold, trembling. As they walked toward the cabin, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was walking beside a ghost. Inside, he lit a lamp, its golden light flickering against the wooden walls. The cabin was simple: 1 table, 2 chairs, a small stove, and the rocking chair where his wife used to sit and sew. The woman looked around, her eyes tracing the details as though she'd seen them before. "You live here alone?" she asked softly. He nodded. "Since my wife passed." Her gaze lingered on the chair. "It feels familiar," she whispered. He turned, startled. "What did you say?" She blinked as if realizing her words. "I don't know why I said that," she murmured. "I just feel like I've been here before." The rancher poured her a cup of coffee, setting it in front of her. "What's your name?" he asked. She hesitated. "Mara," she said finally. "Mara Finch." "Where you headed, Mara?" he pressed. She looked down at her hands. "Nowhere. I was married once. My husband was killed last winter. Bandits. They burned our home. I started walking north, just hoping to find something." Her voice cracked, raw with loss. He understood that pain. The ache of losing someone you love is the kind of wound that never closes, it just teaches you how to hide the scar. "Rest here tonight," he said. "You can take the bed. I'll sleep by the fire." She nodded, whispering a thank you. But later, as he lay half awake, staring into the flickering flames, he heard her again, whispering in her sleep. His wife's name. Over and over. Like a prayer. Like a curse. Morning broke pale and cold. He found her outside, standing by his wife's grave. Her hair moved gently in the breeze, her hand resting on the wooden cross. "You shouldn't be out here," he said quietly. She turned, startled. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't mean to intrude. I just felt drawn." Her fingers traced the carved letters. This was her name, wasn't it? He nodded slowly. "You said it last night." "How do you know it?" Mara's eyes shimmered with confusion. "I don't. I swear I don't. But when I saw your horse, it felt like someone pulled me here. Like something wanted me to find you." He didn't know what to make of that. Fate. Madness. Or something stranger. As the days passed, she stayed on, helping mend fences, cooking meals, bringing warmth to a home long empty. The loneliness began to fade, replaced by something he hadn't felt in years, peace. But the questions lingered. Each night, he'd catch her staring at the old photograph on the mantel, the one of him and his wife on their wedding day. Once, he found her weeping before it. "Mara," he said softly, "why do you cry when you look at her?" She turned to him, her face pale. "Because," she whispered, "I remember her voice." He frowned. "You said you never met her." "I didn't," she said, trembling. "But sometimes, when I close my eyes, I see her face. She's standing in sunlight, smiling. And she says, 'Take care of him for me.'" The rancher's heart stopped cold. He stepped closer. "What are you saying?" Her breath hitched. "I don't know what's happening to me. But ever since my husband died, I've been hearing things. Dreams that lead me places. And last night, one voice said, 'He needs you.' Then I woke up beside your horse." The silence between them deepened. The wind sighed through the trees. Finally, he spoke, his voice low. "My wife used to talk about fate. Said souls don't end, they just find new roads." Mara looked at him, tears glistening in her eyes. "Maybe she found mine," she whispered. Days turned into weeks. She stayed, tending the ranch as though she'd always belonged there. The rancher found himself smiling again, laughing even. The echoes of the past began to soften. But one evening, as the sky burned red, he heard her singing by the corral, a song his wife used to hum while cooking. Every note struck him like lightning. He stepped outside, heart pounding. "Where did you learn that song?" he demanded. Mara turned, startled. "I don't know," she said. "It just came to me." Her voice shook. "Is something wrong?" He stared at her for a long moment. "That was my wife's song," he said quietly. Tears filled her eyes. "Then maybe she's not gone," Mara whispered. "Maybe she's still here, watching over you, through me." He didn't know whether to be frightened or grateful. But when she reached out, her hand trembling, he took it, not because he understood, but because for the first time in years, his heart felt alive again. As night fell, the stars bloomed across the endless sky. The rancher stood beside her, their shadows mingling in the firelight. "You brought something back here, Mara," he said softly. "Something I thought was gone forever." She smiled faintly. "Maybe love never really leaves," she murmured. "It just changes form." And for the first time since the grave, he believed it might be true. The weeks rolled into months, and peace slowly settled over Red Hollow Ranch. The rancher found himself waking each dawn to the soft sound of her voice, the scrape of a pan, the warmth of a life returning to a place long silent. Yet the mystery of her presence never left his mind. One stormy evening, thunder rumbled across the hills as Mara stumbled into the barn, drenched, trembling. "It happened again," she whispered. "I saw her." Her eyes were wild. "She was standing by the oak tree, calling your name." The rancher felt his blood run cold. He followed her outside, rain pouring, lightning slicing the sky, until they reached his wife's grave. The earth around it glowed faintly, like fireflies dancing over the soil. Mara knelt, tears mixing with the rain. "She said she forgave me," she cried. "Forgave me for what?" he asked, voice breaking. "For surviving her death," she whispered. I think I was meant to carry her unfinished promise, to stay by your side." The rancher dropped to his knees beside her, rain beating against his hat. For a long time, neither spoke. Only the wind and the thunder filled the silence. Then he reached for her hand. "Maybe that's why you found my horse that night," he said softly. "Maybe she led you here." Mara looked up, her face glowing in the stormlight. "She's at peace now," she whispered. "And maybe, so are we." When dawn came, the storm had passed. The sky was washed clean, the air fresh with promise. The rancher stood beside her, sunlight spilling across the fields. He smiled, a real smile, for the first time in years. "You've given me something I thought I'd lost forever," he said. "Hope." She looked at him gently. "No," she replied. She did. And as the wind carried across the valley, he swore he could hear his late wife's laughter, soft, warm, and free, riding with the breeze that whispered through their hearts once more.